Welcome to the breakdown of the 144th Preakness Stakes. We have to win back the money that we lost when Maximum Security thought somebody in the Derby crowd was offering him a carrot. We've talked long enough about the legitimacy of the disqualification. I've wallowed in disappointment for long enough that my streak of 7 straight Kentucky Derby winners came to an end. Let's no longer talk about what was, but let's focus on what could be. The second jewel of the Triple Crown, Pimlico Racetrack, Baltimore, Maryland, race 13, Saturday, May 18th at 6:48 Eastern. A mile and 3/16 on dirt. That's 1/16 of a mile shorter than the Kentucky Derby. None of the top 3 finishers of the Kentucky Derby are running in this race. Either is the number 17th place finisher, Maximum Security. But the 4th place finisher, Improbable, is here and is your favorite at 5-2. We are not dealing with the Kentucky Derby winner coming over to the Preakness at 4-5. With a 5-2 favorite, a 4-1 second favorite, there is money to be made in this race. That 4-1 second favorite was the horse that was directly impeded by Maximum Security, War of Will. He is here, is the second choice in this 13-horse field. The pace will be fair, but likely not alarming. I would be surprised to see a 45-3 half mile. The horses that go to the front don't drop those 45 and change half miles. It won't be a slow pace. Let's say somewhere between 46-2 and 47-2. Now we have new shooters. We have new shooters that are dangerous, and a couple of them are going to directly impact the pace. Those being number 3, Warriors Charge, and number 7, Always Mining. They will be out there battling for it. The U.S. time form pace projector is not out yet. Who cares? Let's do it ourselves. Let's get to work. Horse number 1, War of Will, morning line 4-1. Trainer Mark Cassie, jockey Tyler Gaffalione, high buyer 95. War of Will drew the rail again, and his trainer Mark Cassie is not happy. But to me, it's not such a bad place. He's not forced to shoot out as fast as possible like he had to in the Kentucky Derby because that one post stares right at the inner rail. Doesn't have to deal with that. Also, he's got Bourbon War right beside him. Bourbon War is not going to break quickly. Bourbon War is going to find a spot by the rail, save ground for one giant run. Then he's got Warriors Charge in the 3rd post, who's going to break right to the lead. The way I see it, War of Will can save ground, find a nice pocket trip behind the pace, the horses that are on top of the pace, who we think will be Warriors Charge and Always Mining. He can stay amongst the second flight of horses. He can wait for his opportunity, pounce, and win this race. As we know, War of Will started out as a turf horse. He came 5th in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf last year, was only 3.5 lengths behind the winner, Line of Duty. Then they move him back to the main track, and he looked very strong, breaking his maiden on the sloppy sealed track at Churchill by 5 lengths, 82 buyer. Then he comes back in the Grade 3 Lecomte at Fairgrounds, looks excellent, 94 buyer. Follows that up with a win in the Grade 2 Risen Star Stakes with a 90 buyer. Then he went into the Louisiana Derby as a big favorite and came 9th by 12 lengths. We're not entirely sure what exactly happened in that race, but he suffered some kind of injury. There was some kind of injury, and because of that, there was not enough money bet on him in the Kentucky Derby. There were people questioning whether he was still hurt or what exactly happened in the Louisiana Derby. That put him in a very valuable position for us gamblers. And if he was the horse that was directly impeded by Maximum Security. Had he not been impeded by Maximum Security, our big exactor box, War of Will, Maximum Security, may have cashed, and we may be rich right now, but let's not focus on what was. Let's talk about what could be. Even though he was impeded by Maximum Security, he put up a 95 buyer. He came 7th by 4.5 lengths. He ran a great race. This is a great horse. Now, I'm going to try to beat War of Will, but I'm going to add War of Will onto my exactor. I'm going to put a little extra on that exactor than I will on some of the others, most of the others. War of Will is a very strong horse. War of Will is going to get a ton of money bet on him, but I'm going to go for a big score in this race, and I will not be taking War of Will on top. Now, everything I have, every bet I make will be on including one horse. So if War of Will comes in with my horse, I will cash. That's a legitimate possibility. War of Will is going to take an enormous amount of action. I bet you he doesn't end up at 4-1. I bet you he's 7-2. He could go down to 3-1. War of Will is a great horse, but it's very difficult to come back after 2 weeks. I know we've seen a lot of horses do it with success. They've won the Kentucky Derby, then they come over, and then they win the Preakness. But it's not easy. It's not what the trainer wants to do. The trainer doesn't want to run his horse 2 weeks later. He's forced to. He's put in a situation where he's forced to. War of Will is a great horse. I will be trying to beat him on Saturday. Number 2, Bourbon War. Morning line 12-1. Trainer Mark Hennig. Jockey Irad Ortiz Jr., high buyer of 93. Has a very nice inside post for this race. Should be able to find himself a nice trip, and Irad Ortiz Jr. is an incredible jockey. What should happen for him is he should find himself right behind War of Will on the rail and save ground. He doesn't need to be at the very back of the pack. If you are betting Bourbon War, you want him sort of mid-pack because he has this huge late run in him. If he's mid-pack, he can save ground, make a giant late run. Son of the great Tappet, his damn My Conquistador was a multiple graded stakes winner. We've seen him 3 times this year. The last 2 times in graded stakes races in Florida. First was the Fountain of Youth on March 2nd. I had him in this race. Hidden Scroll ran an extremely fast 22 4/4 and 45 3/2. It was the perfect setup for the late running Bourbon War. If you bet Bourbon War on top of your tickets, if you have him to win this race, you need a fast pace, as fast as possible. The faster, the better. Because of Hidden Scroll running such a fast pace, Bourbon War came flying late, was eating up ground, came second by 3/4 of a length to Code of Honor, a very good horse who came second in the Kentucky Derby. Then came the Florida Derby. I was on him again. I figured Hidden Scroll, Maximum Security would wage a pace duel, very fast fractions, and then Bourbon War would come late and could win the Florida Derby. The Florida Derby was a 1/16 of a mile longer than the Fountain of Youth. I was pretty confident that he would surge late again. As we know, for some reason, Hidden Scroll rated off the pace. Maximum Security walked to a very easy lead of 48 4/2. Bourbon War had nothing to run into, but he still came running. He came 4th, 7.5 lengths behind Maximum Security, 3/4 of a length again behind Code of Honor. And if you look back at that race, it's a much better performance than it looks like. He had nothing to run into, and that is very impressive. We are expecting a decent pace here. A decent pace. He should have something to come. He should have something to run into. He should be rolling late. He'll be wearing blinkers for the first time. A lot of people are going to have Bourbon War on their tickets, and I get it. I will not be having Bourbon War on top. I think he's a very good horse. I'm looking forward to watch him all summer long, hopefully in Saratoga. Maybe I will bet on him then, but I will not be taking him on top of my tickets on Saturday. Number 3, Warriors Charge. Morning line 12-1. Trainer Brad Cox. Jockey Javier JJ Castellano, high buyer of 97. This horse is a very, very dangerous new shooter. He was not nominated for the Triple Crown. The owners must not have realized what a spectacular horse they had on their hands. To have him run in this race, he had to be supplemented at a cost of $150,000. That's very expensive. We'll talk more about that after we break this horse down. He's the speed closest to the inner rail. He's very dangerous. Now, he's never run in a graded stakes race. First 3 starts, the first 3 career starts, he came up from off the pace, couldn't get to the wire in time, 3 third-place finishes. Then he changes his running style. He goes right to the lead and wins both races by 6+ lengths. One was a 100K maiden. One was a 75K optional claimer, his first time against winners. But they were very impressive. The last one he put up a 97 buyer. Can he get to the lead in the Preakness? Because he can get to the lead in a 75K optional claimer against winners, 100K maiden. Can he against the best horses, the best 3-year-old horses in the world? 1, can he get to the lead? 2, can he fight off the horses that will be battling him up at the top of the pace? And 3, can he hold off the late charge of these horses that have big late runs like Bourbon War and Owen Dale? Speaking of Owen Dale, the 5 horse whom I'm very, very high on. Owen Dale has the same owners and the same trainer as Warriors Charge. So, is it possible that the owners would pay $150,000 to ensure Warriors Charge to be a rabbit and create an extremely fast pace for Owen Dale to run into? Or do the owners believe in Warriors Charge so much that they're willing to put up $150,000 of their own money? As a handicapper, you've got to make that decision. I don't know what the answer is. I don't have the inside information. But Warriors Charge is a very dangerous horse. Morning line 12-1. Very dangerous. We'll be right up on the pace. We'll see a lot of them on Saturday. Number 4, Improbable. Morning line 5-2. Trainer Bob Baffert. Jockey Mike Smith. High buyer of 99. The very dangerous Bob Baffert-Mike Smith combination. Bob Baffert is also tied right now for the most Preakness wins at 7 and could break that tie and be the all-time leader in wins at the Preakness by a trainer with Improbable here. Bob Baffert wins 26% of his graded stakes races. This is a great post for Improbable, just like he had in the Derby. In the Derby, he ended up being the favorite at 4-1. 5-2 here. Draws right outside of the speed, perfect for his stalking style. In the Arkansas Derby, he threw a fit in the gate, was backed out twice. There were questions about whether he'd be able to handle the huge crowd at Churchill Downs and also the 19 other horses in the gate. He handled it fine. But we've seen him break slowly before. He doesn't have the best gate speed, typically prefers to run as a stalker mid-pack. He won all 3 of his races as a 2-year-old, culminating with the Grade 1 Los Alamitos Futurity. Then as a 3-year-old, he came second by a length to Long Range Toddy as a big favorite in the Grade 2 Rebel. He sort of flattened out. His head was all over the place. He flattened out in the stretch. When he needed to step on the gas, he flattened out. Then in the Grade 1 Arkansas Derby, he couldn't catch Omaha Beach. Again, he sort of flattened out in the stretch. Then he comes in the Derby as a 4-1 favorite. He has a great post, a great trip. He had no excuse not to pounce on Maximum Security. Again, he just flattened out. That's what he seems to do. Is he best at a mile? He's a son of City Zip. People have questioned whether he can get the distance. City Zip horses are not historically known for being able to run a mile and a quarter or a mile and 3/16. Maybe he's just a mile horse. If I have any reason to not believe in the favorite, anything, I will take it. That's how you win a horse racing. I'm not going to use Improbable on top of my tickets. I'm sure he's going to be around the top 4 or 5. He's a dangerous horse, but it's not easy coming back 2 weeks later. The other 2 Baffert horses from the Derby did not come back, so obviously Baffert thinks that Improbable is sound, more sound than Game Winner or Roadster. Baffert's dangerous. Mike Smith's dangerous. This is a favorite for a reason. Now, I'm going to use him underneath in an exactor, and I will box that exactor, but I'm not using Improbable. He's not my main horse in the Preakness Stakes. Number 5, Owen Dale. Morning line 10-1. Trainer Brad Cox. Jockey Florent Giroux. High buyer of 98. This is another very dangerous new shooter. He's coming off a giant run in the Grade 3 Lexington. He won it with a 98 buyer, but how he did it was eye-catching. He was 9th at the half, 7 1/4 lengths back. Then he runs 4 and 5 wide around the whole field, runs right into the lead, blows past everybody, and wins the race. But what made it so incredible was that these were slow fractions he was running into. A 24 2/4, a 48 1/2. Let's use Bourbon War as an example. In the Fountain of Youth Stakes, very fast quarter, very fast half. Bourbon War blows past the pace setters and barely loses that race. Then we go to the Florida Derby, very slow quarter and first half, and he still comes with his late run, as these great horses will still do, but he's 7 1/4 lengths back. Here is Owen Dale with a very slow pace, still wide around everybody and blowing past everybody. And if you're asking, who did he beat? He beat the number 12 horse in this race, another Twist of Fate, who has a 6-1 morning line. And another Twist of Fate was 7-5 in that race. The prior race to that, something went wrong. He came 8th by 10 lengths in the Risen Star. He took 2 months off. Something went wrong. I don't know if he was sick or had a slight injury. Something went wrong in that race. 2 months off, and he comes back with a vengeance. Wins the Lexington. His training has been very exciting. He's either slow, probably on purpose, or the Bullet. On May 11th, they turned him loose. He ran the Bullet of 31 horses. There's going to be pace to run into. I don't know how fast it will be, but there will be more pace than he ran into in the Lexington. This is a very dangerous horse. My prediction is Owen Dale is this year's Arrowgate. I have Owen Dale to win the 144th running of the Preakness Stakes. Number 6, Market King. Morning line 30-1. Trainer D. Wayne Lucas. Jockey John Court. 58-year-old John Court. High buyer of 83. He's going to try to get up on the lead, but does he have enough speed to get there? Does he have enough speed to hold it? Great trainer. They paid $550,000 for him at the Keeneland September sale. Son of Into Mischief. They had high hopes for this horse, and now he's running in the Preakness Stakes. His best run to date, an 83 Buyer in the Grade 2 Rebel. He came third, but he finished 8 1/4 lengths back of Omaha Beach and Game Winner. He was just no match for them in the stretch. He came back in the Bluegrass and lost by 37 1/4 lengths. It's going to be a huge number on this horse. Morning line 30-1. It will be higher than that. He could get involved in your tickets. I mean, as he was there in the Rebel, you know, he could create some very high-paying exotics, trifectas, superfectas. I'm going to use Market King just very slightly with my horse, Owen Dale, but not very much. I do not believe in Market King. Number 7, Always Mining. Morning line 8-1. Trainer Kelly Rubley, jockey Daniel Centeno, high buyer of 96. A lot of people are going to be cheering for this horse come Saturday. Local connections. Maryland bred. The last Maryland bred horse to win this race was Deputed Testimony in 1983. Also a female trainer in Kelly Rubley. No female trainer has ever won a Triple Crown race. It's a nice story. A lot of people are going to be cheering for this horse. We'll try to get up on the pace. Could find himself right beside Warriors Charge in a nice stock and pounds position. That's how I see the pace breaking out, is Warriors Charge going right to the front, and then right beside him will be Always Mining right on that back hip. I expect him to be aggressive early, the son of Stay Thirsty. Now, we said over and over and over again in the Derby, leading up to the Derby, what has Maximum Security done wrong? What has Maximum Security done wrong? The more we said that, we ended up taking Maximum Security to win the Kentucky Derby. This is the same situation. We can say the same thing about Always Mining. What's he done wrong? Won 6 straight races. 3 for 3 is a 3-year-old. He's beaten Win, who's in this race. He's beaten Grey Magician, who ran in the Derby. He won the Preakness prep race, the Tessio, by 11.5 lengths. Now he was 1-20, huge favorite. Trainer Kelly Rubley hits at a 23% clip with a horse that's won their last race, but she's won just 4% of her stakes races. There was a time where I was backing Always Mining to win this race, and I have backed off of Always Mining. It would be a great story. No Maryland-bred horse has won the Preakness since '83. Very few have even been serious contenders. No female trainers ever won a Triple Crown race. It's a great story. I don't believe in fairy tales. I've gotten off of Always Mining. I will use Always Mining in an exactor box with Owen Dale, but that will be the extent of my use of Always Mining. Number 8, Signal Man. Morning line 30-1. Trainer Kenny McPeak. Jockey Brian Hernandez Jr. High buyer of 88. His first start off the bench as a 3-year-old was a disappointing 7th in the Fountain of Youth Stakes at 13-1. He wasn't on that hot pace. You would think that he would be able to come with a run, and that didn't materialize. He lost by 7 lengths. Maybe he needed that race. So he came back with an improved 3rd in the Bluegrass Stakes, losing to Vacoma by 3.5 lengths at 6.5-1. But the horses that were in the Bluegrass Stakes had very poor showings in the Kentucky Derby. Now it's his 3rd off the bench. Is he ready to fire? Is he ready to make another step forward? Would that step forward be enough to beat this incredible group of horses? I don't think so. I'm going to have a very small exactor box with Owen Dale, but that's all. That's the only way I'll be using Signalman. Number 9, Bodie Express. Morning line 20-1. Trainer Gustavo Delgado. Jockey Johnny Velasquez. High buyer of 96. This is a sneaky horse. A sneaky horse that a lot of people will be using come Saturday. He will try to get right on the pace. Won't be so easy from the 9th spot, but shouldn't be too big of a deal. He'll try to get right on the pace. So he'll be right on Always Mining, who will be probably right behind Warriors Charge. This is a dangerous horse. Dangerous horse. By Bodie Meister. Bodie Meister ran 2nd in this very race. Came 2nd in the Florida Derby to Maximum Security at 72-1. Now that was a very slow pace, and he was right up on it. How will he handle a 46-2 is left to be seen. He broke from the 19th gate in the Kentucky Derby. He had a very difficult trip. Bodie Express is a sneaky horse and can be involved in this race. I will be using Bodie Express in an exactor box with Owen Dale. Number 10, Everfast. Morning line 50-1 will go off at over 99-1. I expect trainer Dale Romans, jockey Joel Rosario, high buyer of 79. On February 2nd, he came second in the Holy Bull. Grade 2 Holy Bull. He lost by a length to Harvey Wallbanger at 129 to 1. It was an impressive race. He ran well. It was impressive enough that he went into the Fountain of Youth Stakes. Now, that was a very hot pace. He got destroyed. He was 8th by 18.5 lengths. He went off at 64 to 1. Then he goes in the Florida Derby. Slow pace. That doesn't help him either. 9th by 15 lengths at 91 to 1. Then he goes into the Pat Day Mile. Comes 5th by 10.25 lengths at 66 to 1. He's lost in his last 3 races. He's lost by 44 lengths. I'm not going to include Everfast in my action. If you're sitting there going, what about Country House? He just won the Kentucky Derby at 65 to 1. Country House didn't come into that race getting destroyed in his last 3 races. He had some good showings, and he sort of flattened out at the end of races, which he did again in the Derby. Country House was making a big run. He seems to always make a big run at about the mile spot, and then he kind of flattens out. This horse never makes a big run. He's done it once, and that's what allowed him to be in these races. I'm off Everfast. Number 11, Laughing Fox, morning line 20 to 1. Trainer Steve Asmussen, jockey Ricardo Santana Jr., high buyer of 91. This combination, Asmussen, Ricardo Santana Jr., has been very successful lately, winning a ton of races. And the 3 of them, Laughing Fox, Asmussen, and Santana Jr., just coming off winning the inaugural Oaklawn Park Invitational at 4 to 1 with that high buyer, his career high buyer of 91. Before that, he came 4th by 7.75 lengths in the Arkansas Derby at 27 to 1. And before that, he came 7th by 12.25 lengths in the Rebel. He had a bad showing in the Rebel. Does he have fast enough speed figures? I'm not sure. But he is going to come running late. There's going to be pace to run into. This could be a horse that really jumps up the prices on your exotics. I will be using Laughing Fox. I will be using him with an exactor with Owen Dale. Laughing Fox could pull up an upset. Can he pull up an upset up to first place in the Preakness? I don't think so. But he could hit the board. Number 12, another twist of fate. Morning line 6 to 1. Trainer Blaine Wright, jockey Jose Ortiz, high buyer of 95. Going to lose ground starting from the 12 post. Son of Scat Daddy, he'll have no problem with the distance. His speed figures fit in here. Remember, Owen Dale just beat him in the Lexington. He wins races going gate to wire. This horse is going to have a presence in the pace and could possibly push this pace faster than the other horses want it to go. Let's break it down a little more. Coming off a 95 buyer in the Lexington, a 94 buyer in the Sunland Derby with those races on dirt. But he's 3 for 3 at Golden Gate in San Francisco on synthetic. Cutting Humor is who he lost to in the Sunland Derby. Lost to Cutting Humor by a neck. Cutting Humor came 10th in the Kentucky Derby. He has a forward running style, and we're expecting a pace. Now, can he rate? He's going to be coming so far from the outside. He's going to be running 3 or 4 wide around that first turn. Does he need the lead? In his last race in the Grade 3 Lexington, which he came in second in the stretch, he went from the right lead to his left lead, back to his right lead in like a furlong. It was very strange, and it shows that he's very green. Also, bandages were used. He had front wraps on his front legs. That can do 2 things. That can, 1, provide support or protect from an injury. Bandages are tricky, and my dad always said he never wanted to see bandages on the front legs, but trainers can use wraps to disguise a horse that is fit and ready. There's a lot of things that go in with bandages and wraps on the front legs, and it's very difficult to know exactly what's going on. They're used to help support the tendons in the horse's foreleg. Bowed tendons or sore legs are one of the biggest problems in horse racing. That said, another twist of fate is at 6 to 1. There's a reason he's at 6 to 1. I'll be using him in an exactor box with Owen Dale, but I won't be using him very much. Number 13, Win, Win, Win. Morning line 15 to 1. Trainer Michael Trombetta, jockey Julian Pimentel, high buyer of 99. Now this outside post would bother some horse. It's not really going to bother Win, Win, Win. He's just going to go right to the rail, save ground, and make one giant run late. This is a very dangerous horse. Very dangerous horse. He's 0 for 2 on 2 turns. He went off as a favorite in the Tampa Bay Derby. He lost to Tacitus by 2.5 lengths. Tacitus came 3rd in the Kentucky Derby. Tacitus is a very good horse. And he had to run 4 wide that whole time here in the 89 buyer. Then he goes to the Bluegrass at 3 to 1. won by Vekoma. He was blocked right at the beginning of his move. He rallied. He impressively rallied, closed faster than any other horse. Had he not been blocked, it would be much closer than 3.5 lengths. Win, win, win is a dangerous horse here. He's going to come flying late. He's going to find it much easier than the Kentucky Derby. Less traffic. He's going to make a run. This is a dangerous horse that I will be using in the exactor box with Owen Dale. The 144th Preakness Stakes, the second jewel of the Triple Crown. It's going to be gorgeous in Baltimore on Saturday. 79 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, slight breeze at 6 miles per hour. I expect the opening quarter to go in 23-1. I expect the opening half to go in 46-4. There will be pace to run into. I expect the number 3 Warriors Charge to shoot out of the gate and take the lead. Number 7, Always Mining, to come right on his hip and be right beside him. And then Bodie Express, the 9 and the 12, another Twist of Fate, to come all the way across and join them, pushing the pace, but creating a situation where both Bodie Express and another Twist of Fate have to go 3 and 4 wide around the first turn. Then in the second flight, the very dangerous War of Will will be just ahead of number 4, the favorite Improbable, who will be just behind him. Then in the third flight, the closers, Bourbon War, the number 2 horse, number 5, Owen Dale, and then number 11, Laughing Fox, and then in the very back of the pack, Win, Win, Win. I expect War of Will to take the first shot at the leaders and pass them. Improbable will go with them, but will flatten out. Owen Dale will come with a huge run, catch War of Will in the last furlong, and win the Preakness Stakes by 3/4 of a length at 10-1 and pay us out in full. This is my action. $60 win, play, show on number 5, Owen Dale. That will cost me $180. Then I will make 4 $10 exactor boxes. Each way, they'll cost me $20 each. The first one will be number 5, Owen Dale, to number 1, War of Will. The next one will be 5, Owen Dale, to number 4, Improbable. Then number 5, Owen Dale, to number 7, Always Mining. And number 5, Owen Dale, to number 13, Win, Win, Win. Then I will make 6 $5 exactor boxes. That will cost me $10. Owen Dale to Bourbon War. Owen Dale to Warriors Charge. Owen Dale to Signalman. Owen Dale to Bodie Express. Owen Dale to Laughing Fox, and Owen Dale to another Twist of Fate. Then a $2 straight exactor, Owen Dale to Market King, and I will not include Everfast in any of my tickets. That exacta spot will cost $142. So altogether, I will be betting $322 on the Preakness Stakes, and we will get back the money we lost in the Kentucky Derby. I can't wait to bet the card on Pimlico on Saturday night. Thank you so much for watching. We have a code from Bovada, a Triple Crown special, only open from May 13th to May 18th. You get a 50% bonus plus a $20 free play. Hit the link at the bottom of the screen. But most importantly, Lecce, Halos bookmakers, have a giant Saturday, a giant second jewel of the Triple Crown.